one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Have the clerk please call the roll.
Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
Treasurer Horning?
Here.
Clerk Chofiu? Here. Trustee Collier?
Here.
Trustee Germain?
Here.
Trustee Harper?
Here.
Trustee Petrucci?
Here.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of our agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by trustee Kalani, second by trustee Harper. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Call to the public. Anybody at call to the public this evening? Yes, good evening. If you'd like to come up to the podium and state your name for us, please.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Garcia. I live in Cobblestone. Do you need my address?
Sure.
9815 Winbrook Lane. And what brought me here tonight was I got a chance to see the agenda and item G, the approval for the proposal for M59 sidewalk. I don't know the details of it. I didn't get a chance to look into it. Kind of busy, 3 kids of my own. And so I'm just here to speak in hopes of what it could be about. And so I'm asking the township to maybe to look into that, into my wishes, but also if this is what it's for, to expand or enhance or improve the M59 sidewalk, I would definitely be here in support of it. I have 3 little kids, and we live, like I said, in Cobblestone. We're not even a mile from M59, and we would love to be able to access the community via a sidewalk and crosswalks, but right now it's just not safe, and it's very actually terrifying. I've taken them to the preschool before, and crossing at M59 is just a nightmare. And so I try to avoid it, but it's hard because it calls me. I want to be able to just, explore our community on foot, on bike, with the kids. And as they age, I'd love them to be able to access the community on their own. I'd love for my oldest, a couple of years from now, to be able to just go with his friends to the theater and catch a movie without parents having to take him. And that builds a lot of skills in our children, and being able to, gain independence and autonomy, make good decisions with money and with just choices in public without having a parent helicopter all the time. And so, like I said, I'm not exactly sure if that's the case, but it's something I encourage. And I've been canvassing before in this area, and I know I'm not alone. I brought it up, and to my surprise, the community that seems to be really interested in this were actually our seniors. A lot of the seniors were really excited to hear that that's something I was interested in, because they would like that access as well, not just for exercise, but to access Kroger or something like that when they can't drive on their own and they have to rely on other sources. So, like I said, I hope that that is something that we're thinking about and improving in this area, because it's something I really would love to see for our community and my kids. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming out.
And just, we typically don't respond at call to the public, but we are going to most likely approve this evening a sidewalk that would start basically from San Marino and go all the way to Heartland Road on the south side. And James is maybe even going to pull it up. It's not going to go all the way at this point to San Marino, due to the fact it's going to cost a small fortune to get over that big hill.
Out of words.
Safe crosswalks and lights.
Yeah, it'll all be done to the MDOT standards.
Okay, great, thank you.
Did I miss anything, Bob?
Yeah, I got to jump in there real quick. It's kind of hard to see on the map here, but the red line that you see is the proposed path connector that we're trying to do. There, I should add for the folks at home, there is another gap further west of here that MDOT is going to gift to the township this year as part of the M59 widening project. So between this proposed pathway and what MDOT is completing as part of their M59 widening project, we will have the first M59 connector as indicated from Fiddler's Grove, which is just east of San Marino, all the way to Old US 23 and beyond. At that point, it splits both going north and south. It'll have crosswalks as well as going further east.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else to call to the public this evening? Being none, we'll move on to the approval of our consent agenda.
So move. Support.
Motion by trustee Petrucci, second by trustee Kalani.
No.
I'm sorry,
Jermaine.
trustee Jermaine. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. This evening, we have our budget hearing. This will be a resolution for fiscal year 2021 with the General Appropriations Act. I'm going to turn this over to Manager Wickman. And public hearing?
If you'd like to open the budget hearing first, or after I can speak.
We could go through it, then we'll open up the budget hearing. Sure.
I'll move to open the public hearing on the budget.
Second.
Motion by trustee Kalani, second by treasurer Horning. Any discussion? Just a regular vote, correct? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. So James, if you'd like to go through it first?
Just quickly, the truth and taxation notice. This is our estimate of the property millage rate to be levied at the end of the year. Again, continues to be that our general fund millage is, if not the lowest in the county, the second lowest in the county amongst townships. And that continues to roll back as a part of Headley and part of property value increases that happen. General fund estimated revenues, we reviewed these in early January. Half of our general fund revenue comes from state shared revenue, which is sales and use tax. State of Michigan collects, and by constitutional formula, it goes back to local units of government to fund our operations. And then our own local property taxes account for more like a fifth of the budget, and other fees that are collected for the general fund. Our various services that we provide to residents and by statutory requirement is how it's distributed, with the largest amount of that going back into the capital projects fund to be invested into community assets, whether it be parks or sidewalks, as we talked about tonight, or other things to benefit our residents. The copy of the budget will be published on the website in full detail with all the notes of what that's intended for. Otherwise, happy to answer any questions, but I offer you that resolution.
James, could you maybe explain for those that are home kind of the goal of the board, a percentage of the general fund that goes towards capital improvements, and what that percentage might look like, and maybe expound a little bit more what other projects are involved in this upcoming year, what we're proposing?
Yeah. I think we're in the 17+% range of the general fund budget that we are putting into budget reserves. We're projecting that to go up in future years. I think our goal would be to get closer to 20% or more. This year, the capital projects fund budget doesn't include the sidewalk on 59 that was discussed, improvements to Springer Field, which we'll be talking about here in a moment. Those are the big projects, but also hanging out there are some needed capital improvements to facilities of the township or around Township Hall here. Gateway signs for the new Heartland Living that we talked about, and probably a couple other projects, smaller projects.
With the invasive species in the parks?
Yeah, certainly that we don't have on the agenda for action yet, but we're making plans for we have some invasive species, particularly here in Settlers Park, not just Phragmites, but Russian olive and other invasive species that we're really going to tackle, knock down, and then we'll be in a better position for ongoing maintenance. And we're looking as well over at Springer Field and the Ore Creek Bridge there along Heartland Road, where there's quite a bit of Phragmites, of knocking that area down and treating that so that that invasive species doesn't come back, or we can control it better.
I move to approve the resolution to establish a General Appropriations Act for 2021.
We're in the public hearing.
Then we close it after.
Don't we take,
We're not going to vote on it. We're just going to make a
don't
motion.
we take anybody from
Sure,
the audience?
if they want.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions that call to the public?
Well, for the purpose of the budget, this is a public hearing, so people are entitled to come up and talk about
Yeah,
the-
that was just my question. If anybody had any questions? Thank you. I'll entertain the motion.
Well, you have to close the public hearing.
No, we can do it in it, and then you close it when we're all done. Doesn't matter. Right here. Move to close the public hearing.
Close it, don't you?
I did, I moved to close.
I think you'd be
public
fine
hearing.
either way.
Yeah, it is
It won't
fine
keep
either
you
way.
out of heaven.
That's right, exactly.
I have a motion on the table to close the
Yep.
public hearing. I have a
We need
motion.
a second.
Sport? You got a second?
Yeah,
Who did?
Glenn. Second.
Well, Glenn's pointing over to Joe.
I thought-
I made the
Sorry, here we go.
motion.
So we got a
Glenn
motion by
seconded.
Kathy and a second
Yeah.
by Glenn.
I'll support.
Yep.
Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Move to approve the resolution to establish a General Appropriations Act for the 2021 fiscal year.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee Germain. Any discussion? Have the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Petrucci?
Yes.
Clerk Chopu? Yes. Trustee Germain?
Yes.
Trustee Collier?
Yes.
Supervisor Fountain?
Yes.
Treasurer Horning?
Yes.
Trustee Harper?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 7B is fiscal 2021 Fire Authority budget. Manager Wickman?
As required by the bylaws of the authority, Heartland Township and Deerfield Township must each also approve the budget that the authority has proposed. We reviewed that through budget work session at the last meeting, and it's offered for you for a motion.
And that proposal is basically flat from last year, correct?
Yeah, the good news is that the kind of cost increases we've been seeing, it is flat, yeah.
Yep.
I'll move to approve the 2021 fiscal year budget for the Heartland Deerfield Fire Authority as presented.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Harper, second by Trustee Kalani. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, let's go to, are you comfortable with what you heard on the sidewalk at this point? Okay, all right. Would you like to talk about the Springer improvements?
Absolutely. Thank you, Supervisor Fountain. Kind of been an ongoing effort of park improvements throughout Heartland Township. Past couple of years, we've definitely put an investment into two of our parks. This year, what we're proposing is some supplementary improvements to the existing Springer Field. The proposed improvements will include all new fencing and backstops, as well to replace the existing fencing. And then additionally, we're going to add a first base and third baseline fencing to kind of protect the spectators in the bleacher area. Additionally, we're going to do some building improvements, probably long overdue for that facility. All original fixtures, short of a couple toilets in there. And then we're also going to redo the concession stand as part of that as well. Plan on some field surface improvements where the existing slag that's on the field will be removed, and we're going to use a baseball meal formula, which is more clay-based, soaks up water. It's much safer material. And as part of that as well, we're going to do what's highlighted on that diagram in the light blue along the US 23 right-of-way. We're going to go through there and clear the brush and all the dead trees. The power line company had kind of topped a lot of the trees as part of their maintenance program. Unfortunately, a lot of those are not surviving as a result. The ones that are, obviously, we're going to do our best to sustain that, but there is a lot of deadfall through there and make it so it's easier to maintain in subsequent years. And then moving up on the north end, that's a proposed walking trail, which is a bonus by a local contractor who just wants to go in there and make use of that property. What we're going to try and do is get as close to Orr Creek by Cross Road as we can there, and then kind of circle back to the parking lot. We're hoping to squeeze about a half mile out of there. This is preliminary based upon topography. It's not going to be exact, but that's based on 2-foot topo, kind of gives you the higher land. The other parts that we don't really get into are more of a wetland area, so, which will also help when we, as you had mentioned in the future capital projects, when we do the Phragmites mitigation, it will include some signage out there to educate the public and let them know what we're doing out here. So the total for the proposed improvements is $211,000. Of that, the Haya Baseball Organization is going to contribute $50,000 for the total package of what we're proposing. And what they're looking to do is pay us back over a 10-year period. So kind of jumping up to the consent agenda, the Springer agreement is different than we've done historically. This is a 10-year agreement highlighting the payback of $5,000 per year over the 10 years. Additionally, they had requested an increase in the payment from $7,000 to $9,000, which equates to about a 3% raise since 2012 when it was last raised to the $7,000. So as Public Works Director, I will manage this project personally. There will be several different subcontractors involved. We are trying to highlight all local contractors, and so far we've been very successful in that to accomplish all these different tasks. What I'll be seeking this evening would be approval to move forward at this $211,000 and then act on behalf of the Township Board executing the individual contracts with the subcontractors to try and eliminate any delays by coming back to the board. Be more than happy to answer any questions. I just tried to cover that briefly.
This is not necessarily well, it is a question, but I know the answer. But for the others, I wanted you to share what the Park Site Plan Committee discussions were that led up to this proposal.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. The township has a committee, the Park Site Plan Committee, who basically reviews all the park improvements and makes recommendations. And there's a lot of different information that comes together to make these decisions. This particular one was in conjunction with Haya and some requests, dare I say, a wish list, if you will, of what Haya would like to see out there, in addition to what we've done at our other parks. So this is kind of accumulation of what we've assembled. Similar payback period to what we've done with our other recreation partners at our other parks. So this is aligns with the improvements that we've done at our other parks. So one of the big additions I forgot to mention, I apologize, was the addition of a playscape for the children that may be there as their sibling is playing a baseball game. So we will have a minor playscape. What we're looking to right now is just south of the pavilion. At a baseball field, it's ultimately never an ideal place to put a playscape out of fear of a foul ball or something of that nature. But if you look just to the west of there, or that fence line that we'll have in there, will actually, we're hoping to protect that. We have chosen kind of a more of a three-dimensional playscape that has some height and some walls. In addition, there was some strategic planning as far as how do we minimize the potential risk of, you know, a fly ball or something coming toward that area. So,
I have a general question. This says it's a budget amendment. We just approved the budget, so why, is this not part of the original budget that we just passed, or is this last year's budget? I want to just clarify that.
Yeah, the current year budget, in order to get going on this, to be ready for baseball season, we would be incurring some expenses in March this fiscal year before the budget year that you just approved, so we have to amend this year's
Okay.
budget.
I just want to make sure that was clarified. I'll move to authorize the Public Works to act on behalf of the Township Board to complete the 2020 Springer Field improvements and approve a budget amendment in the amount of $211,000.
I'll support it.
Motion by trustee Kalani, second by trustee Petrucci. Is there any discussion?
I would just have one more question. I would like our DPW director to explain the logic that went into the choices for the concession stand improvements. Because we we had a much bigger budget initially that we cut back.
Yeah, absolutely. Originally, how the project was kind of planned was potentially gutting the building down to, it is a block structured building, and basically taking it down to the bare block, and in replacing even the concrete floor in that facility. And ultimately, the Park Site Plan Committee, in conjunction with myself, we kind of conjured up a plan where we believe we could subcontract these individual improvements and use more of the existing facility, I should say. That's probably a more appropriate term. And it resulted in an approximate savings of about $100,000 by our reduced scope. We still will get a great product and certainly correct a lot of the outdated and, dare I say, unsafe fixtures and finishes in the facility. So there was quite a lengthy discussion about cost-saving opportunities here, and in the end, I think it's going to be what has been selected and recommended is the most valued, financially responsible package that we're presenting.
I am not advocating for spending an additional $100,000. I just wanted the rest of the board to realize that this was a much bigger project initially, and we did scale it back.
And Bob, would you like to maybe point out where we're going to have the Phragmites study? on this
Sure,
piece of property?
absolutely. So if you zoom in, obviously, if you venture down Heartland Road, just south of the Oar Creek Bridge, you've probably seen on actually both sides of the roads, the Phragmites, they stand in that area, some of the biggest in the township. We've measured them as tall as 11 foot 8 inches in that area. What we're looking to do, those are an invasive species. We are definitely going to tackle those and basically have an opportunity to educate the public on what they can do as well, excuse me, at their home. But we have approximately 5.6, if memory serves me correct, acres of Phragmites within that wetland area. It is very difficult to traverse, obviously, with the reeds being as tall as they are. So the first stage that you'll see as part of this Phragmites mitigation will be essentially cutting them down. That's a mechanical harvest as far as what our permit indicates. And yeah, we'll continue to monitor the situation and provide updates on our website to educate the public on that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is there any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, we go to board reports this evening. We start with Trustee Harper,
No report.
Trustee Petrucci,
No report.
Clerk Schofu.
The presidential primaries next Tuesday, March 10th. You can still get a absentee ballot. The last date to be able to mail those ballots out is Friday at 5 p.m. The clerk's office will be open on Saturday, March 7th from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock to handle election processing of AB ballots and same-day registration. You can still get a absentee ballot on Monday, March 9th at the Township Hall. And Tuesday, March 10th is the election. You can still register to vote on election day, but you have to do it at the Township Hall. All absentee ballots that are sent out must be returned by 8 o'clock on Tuesday, 8 p.m. on Tuesday, March 10th.
Thank you. Let's see, we got Treasurer Horny.
Tax collection ended Monday, and this was our largest amount collected since I've been here for 18 years. The summer roll, we collected 99% of the roll, and winter, we collected 96% of the roll. So we have very little delinquency going over to the county, and personal property comes back to us to collect. And before the one and done form came out, we got between like 15,000 to 25,000 to collect. This year, we have 1,500. So it's really a nice That's a great, and I give Donna, my deputy, a lot of credit because she went out to a lot of the businesses and said, file that form, get that form done, it's one and done. So I give Donna a lot of credit. And people that are now doing income taxes, they can go to our website to find their property tax information there on what they paid. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Kalani?
I have nothing to.
Trustee Germain?
No report.
I've just got a couple of things. Next week is Board of Review. You can call our assessor, Jim Heslop. It will be Monday, I believe, from 9 to 4, and then on Wednesday from 2 to 9 o'clock in the evening. And you can find, again, all that online as well. At the Board of Review this morning, we had a pre-meeting, and the housing taxable value in our township last year, year to year, went up 9%, and it's almost doubled in assessed value since 2011. So far, for Board of Review, we have 17 applications, and we have 33 veteran exemptions. So taxable value is up about $50 million from last year in our township. So just wanted to share that with everybody. Any other questions?
I have no other questions. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a brief recess, and then we have just the manager's report this evening, no work session.